Everyone's saying Jon Jones retired. It's over for Jon Jones. He's not going to do what he loves. And the reality is, he's still doing what he loves. Did you not see the fucking news that he hit somebody in Albuquerque, New Mexico, driving a car drunk? He's back. Prime Jon Jones. It's amazing. I'm excited. Yeah, no complaints over here. No, but on a serious note, we have to talk about how Jon Jones ends his whole career in Azerbaijan press conference with Dana White's announcement. It's just a terrible way to go out. He led us all on for 2 years talking about, a potential rematch with Tom Aspinall. And yeah, it's just upsetting how everything panned out. We're also going to talk about UFC Baku, Azerbaijan in this card and my reaction. And, it wasn't a fun card to watch. It was, with the exception of the Nazim fight and that amazing performance by Nazim coming back after a tough first round against Mata and, knocking him out in the second. Besides that, it wasn't a good fight, a good fight card. Jamal Hill looks like fucking shit. And yeah, and after we talk about that, I think we have to talk about this new announcement that I'm actually excited about. Caio versus Imavov. And yeah, we're going to talk about that matchup and how they made it a fight night. So yeah, let's talk about everything. Starting with Jon Jones. Crazy. It's just so upsetting to think this man, Jon Jones, has been leading us on for no reason at all. I was one of the few people who had faith in this man, who actually thought he would muster up the courage to take the fight. And especially when Dana White is going on press conferences, a year ago saying how I guarantee 100% this fight's going to happen.
Jon Jones behind the scene is not a guy that turns down fights.
Would you guarantee 100% we see that fight?
Yeah. I'll say 100%.
Like, bro, we can't fucking trust you anymore. It's horseshit. We really, I don't think Dana White, I think he gave everything he could into making that fight happen. I think he offered the fuck you money that Jon Jones was asking for, and $30 million or whatever the number was. I think it was fully on the table. And I think at the end of the day, Jon just decided he knew what it would take to get to a point to beat Tom Aspinall, and he didn't have it in him. He just knew he would lose. And he didn't want to go out on a low note. But this is an even lower note than losing to Tom Aspinall. Because at least if you lose to Tom Aspinall, you get the respect of taking the fight. This way, I don't even know how the fuck. This has to be the worst retirement of all time. Worse than Henry Cejudo. And Henry Cejudo later comes back. I hope Jon Jones doesn't come back. Because when you come back, you're not going to fight Tom Aspinall. You're a pussy. You should fight him now. It's going to be harder in a year's time when Tom Aspinall is active. And yeah, it's just fucking upsetting, man. And I'm at a loss for words with this shit. Because Jon Jones, I actually thought he would win this fight. I thought he would weather the storm early, get a hold of him, make it dirty with knees and elbows on the inside, maybe take him down, and just avoid getting knocked out in the first round and make it a hard fight. But clearly that's not the case. Tom Aspinall is undisputed champion. Jon Jones is retired, and his legacy will go down as a duck, a woman beater, a PED user, a fucking, it's not a good legacy. If he would have beaten Tom Aspinall, it's no question he's the GOAT. Now, I think everyone's going to say it's no question GSP is the GOAT. Even though GSP left a little early against Johnny Hendricks, but that's because of the intestinal issues in his stomach. But he later comes back, fights up, beats Bisping, who's seen as like the guy back then. And it's like, yeah, I don't know. It's really upsetting to think about how everything panned out. But yeah, let's just stop talking about Jon Jones. Let's just stop talking about this fucking guy. He's done with. It's over. As for UFC Baku, Azerbaijan, I'm not going to talk about the prelims. I got the main card pulled up here so we could talk about each fight. They were boring as fuck to watch. Let's be honest. Muhammad Imavov versus Bogdan Grad. Yeah, Imavov won. It wasn't a fun fight again. I didn't even care to watch this fight. The favorite one. I think almost every single fight the favorite one. So, yeah, nothing crazy with that fight. Yeah, Nazim Sedikov versus this Mata guy. That was a fucking scrap. Nazim showed you the iron chin. And I'm just glad at the officiating on this card. Because, here and there you might get fucking a ref that might just stop the fight in the first when Nazim is against the fence doing this shit. Like, it looked bad. Like, but they let the fight continue, and I'm glad they did because Nazim came back and got a knockout, and it was impressive. It was at home for Nazim. Nazim's undefeated in the UFC. He beat Terrence McKinney before. Like, bro, he's a good prospect. I think he has a more promising career ahead of him than Rafael Fiziev. But let's keep going into this card. We got the oral by or whatever his name is, that guy. He fucking impressed me with that submission. Very quick, looked good. I know he's a submission artist. I believe he was the favorite as well. I don't know anything about this Tafik guy. I know it was home for him. So you'd hope he would show up to impress and do better at a home performance, but no, he didn't. He got fucked up in the first round. So next fight we got to talk about is a Curtis Blaydes versus Rizvan Kuniev. And a lot of people were saying this was a robbery. Curtis Blaydes didn't deserve the win, but I think it was without question. He won the first round. The second round went to Kuniev, and the third was kind of up in the air. But if the criteria for winning fights is damage, Kuniev won. He should have won. But the reality is it's about winning rounds, and I think Blaydes easily won the first, and then the third was up in the air, but I think Blaydes had more significant strikes. He was landing a lot of leg kicks in the third. He might have been getting backed up and had that big, swollen eye, but yeah, overall, I kind of agreed with the decision. I know a lot of people were saying otherwise. It was a split decision, but either way, these guys are never going to make a run for the title. Blaydes, he just got KO'd by Tom Aspinall, the champ, and Kuniev just lost, so yeah, it's not looking good for either of them, and the heavyweight division in general just is in shambles. Next is Fiziev versus Ignacio Bahamondes, and man, I wanted Ignacio to win. I just felt like he has such a promising career ahead of him, and Fiziev just showed up to win, bro. He was very composed. He didn't go too crazy. He did a great job avoiding the kicks because everyone knows Ignacio Bahamondes' kicks are nasty. And it was just upsetting. It felt like Ignacio would be winning the round and then get taken down, or even at the end of the second, I believe it was, like with 10 seconds left, he gets dropped. Like he wasn't doing enough to edge away at those rounds and win those rounds. Even if he was leading in the beginning, he let Fiziev take away the round at the end, and it was like too little too late with Ignacio. It wasn't a performance that makes you think Ignacio can't go on a run and later become an amazing prospect in the division. But yeah, losing to Fiziev, it's upsetting. I don't know what's next for him. Maybe he gets a top 15 fight. Give Ignacio a fight against Grant Dawson, BSD. Mauricio Rufy would be a good matchup. I don't know what's next for him. As for Fiziev, I think he deserves a top 5, top 10 fight easily. I think he's ranked 11. I think you give him Gamrot, Dan Hooker, the winner of Moicano, Beneil Dariush. I feel like there's fights to make for Fiziev, so he, puts himself in the conversation of later down the line getting a title shot. He's a good fighter. He has a lot of fucking power. Yeah, it wasn't a bad fight. It wasn't a great fight. It was just mediocre. It was kind of hoping for a crazy moment, which never seemed to happen. And the final main event, Jamal Hill versus Khalil Roundtree. And this was upsetting on so many levels because it felt like Khalil could have gotten Jamal out of there 5+ times. But he didn't want to capitalize on those moments. And later in the interview, the post-fight interview, he says, I just knew I was up on the round, so why am I going to risk anything? And I get the logic, but it's kind of like with Joe Pyfer and Kevin Gastelum. Like, bro, just go for the fucking kill. Like, you're the main event on a card. Like, we want to see a good moment. Like, you had him drop 3 different times. The guy's wobbling on his only his left leg is good. He's switching to orthodox when it's not his stance. Like, bro, you could have taken out Jamal Hill multiple fucking times, and you just didn't. And people will say he was being smart, but I just honestly think he was being boring. Yeah, he just wanted to win the fight by any means, and good on him. He won the fight. I think he won 50-45. The first round was kind of up in the air, but I think he won that fight every single round. And Jamal Hill, man, I don't know what the fuck that was. Got killed. His leg was killed, so you got to give him credit for... Jamal Hill, the thing about him is he's a dog. He could take fucking damage, and he'll keep fighting through it, but... it was just upsetting, man. And Khalil was the favorite again. He won. Let me see the outstriking. He outstruck him 102-70, which honestly I'm surprised it's not, a bigger margin. Yeah, I don't know what's next for Khalil. Maybe you give him Jan Blachowicz. Maybe you give him Carlos Ulberg or Yuri. I think the two of them should fight, so I really don't know. I think he's a ways away from getting another title shot against Alex or Ankalaev. Ankalaev retains against Alex in the rematch, but yeah, it's just the light heavyweight division isn't too much better than the heavyweight division. It kind of sucks. And overall, it wasn't an amazing card. I'd say the possible saving grace was the Nazim fight. That was, I think, arguable contender for fight of the year. That fight was fucking nuts. I was literally at the edge of my seat screaming, like, that shit was fire. So shout out Nazim. I think he has a promising career ahead of him. And yeah, getting into the Caio versus Imavov fight news. I and all the fucking fans of the UFC have been asking for this fight. I'm super excited about it. I'm glad it's going to be 5 rounds. Part of me wanted it to be UFC 319 just so it could be, a couple fights before the Dricus Khamzat fight. But if it's not a co-main event, it's going to be 3 rounds. And we need to see these guys go 5 rounds. So I get why it's a fight night. I'm super excited. I feel like it's a big layoff for Caio. Caio last fought in August of last year. And I think it was against Cannonier. It might have been Paul Craig. No, I think it was Cannonier. And that's a long layoff, man. And this is going to be in September. So it's going to be over a year for Caio not being inactive. As for Imavov, I think resume-wise, Imavov versus Caio, Imavov has way better resume, way more decorated. Like, I know Caio just KO'd Cannonier, but Imavov KO'd him too. And then he just KO'd Izzy. And he beat Brendan Allen, who's like an underrated fighter in that division. Very good fighter. It's hard to say which way I'm leaning. I like Caio more. I like his style more. He's more of a scrapper. I feel like I want Caio to win, but part of me thinks Imavov will get it done. It's a great matchup. Everyone's super excited about it. I'm so glad they finally announced it. And whoever wins that fight has to be number 1 contender. It's not a question. It's just a fight to be made. There's no one else in that division that's standing out. Maybe if DeRitter and Whitaker fight and there's a crazy knockout, maybe if DeRitter knocks out Whitaker, yeah, he's putting himself in, that conversation of who's number 1 contender. But I think he still has to take a backseat behind Caio and Imavov. I think those guys are the number 1 contenders, and whoever wins that fight will be the number 1 contender fighting Khamzat. And I say fighting Khamzat because Khamzat's going to be Dricus. You can't tell me otherwise. Maybe Dricus wins because he's just so awkward and finds a way to win. He hasn't lost in like 7 years, but Khamzat's never lost, and Khamzat's, I don't know. I just have faith in Khamzat, especially after the way he beat Whitaker. But yeah, the UFC is interesting. It's a bad time with Jon Jones retiring. Some people are happy about it. I have mixed feelings about it. I'm more upset and bitter that we don't get to see the Tom Aspinall fight. After so much build up, and this coming weekend is going to be UFC 317 in Vegas, where Ilya is fighting Charles, and I'm going to be there in person, so expect a vlog. It's going to be gas. I'm super excited. I'm going to go to the UFC X event, where it's basically a convention center with a bunch of fighters, and I'm going to do some interviews and ask some questions. So down below, if you even made it to this point in the fucking video, leave some questions. Let me know what you want to ask these fighters. I'm not one of these guys on payroll who's scared to ask a crazy question because he's going to get fired by Dana. Like, bro, tell me what to ask. I'll ask these fucking guys those questions. And there's a bunch of cool fighters there. So hopefully we get some good interviews and interactions. I might do some body shot challenges, like just random shit. But yeah, I'm super excited for next weekend. Overall, the UFC's in an odd place. I think news is going to come out soon about whether or not Netflix is the new provider of all UFC content, or I don't know what's going to happen. I don't think the pay-per-view model is going to stand much longer. We know the ESPN deal is falling through. So, yeah, it's a weird time. Expect the Cyril Gane versus Tom Aspinall announcement soon, because it has to come out. Tom Aspinall needs to fight. He said he's going to be active. He wants to be active. Cyril Gane fought Volkov a while back, so That fight should be soon. I'd imagine it's the Paris card, but who knows? Who really knows? Yeah, hopefully more news comes out about Jon Jones and the hit and run. Hopefully we get a couple new stories like that. Hopefully we see him like Conor in the club, punching on people, getting fucked up, because, you know, that's peak Jon Jones. But yeah, this is just an overall recap of kind of what's going on in the UFC. I might have missed a few topics, but yeah, let me know what you guys want to see next video, and thank you for watching.